The Rwanda plan could be delayed as civil servants sue the government over a law breach. We're going to read into this exclusive from iNews, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with an exclusive from iNews with the headline of the Rwanda plan could be delayed as civil servants sue the government over its law breach. The exclusive revealed that Rishi Sunak accused of creating a conflict of interest for officials after fudging Rwanda's legislation to please completing factors of the Tory Party. Guys, while you're here, make sure you hit the like button and share it across social media so others are notified of this video. Yes, Rwanda, again, we have to keep talking about it, I know. But I think this one is actually quite a serious one here. So this is about, obviously, civil servants and about their well-being in all of this. You know, I keep seeing idiotic comments in my videos with Rwanda basically saying sack the civil servants and whatnot. Yet they have no freaking idea that these civil servants are being asked to break the law or find themselves in jail. And none of them, if they were told to break the law, they wouldn't do it because they know that if they were found to have broken the laws in any way, shape or form, they'd be in trouble. So it's easy for them to sit in the comment section to say that, but you know, some of them are just absolutely idiots, to be fair, when they have no understanding of how governments are run and how civil servants are such a vital component for past governments and this government in order to get legislation and things done. And it's really important that they are not seen to be breaking the laws in any way, shape or form. And there is far too much legality in the way for this Rwanda thing to take off. Now, before people start saying, but Reagan, they sent someone to Rwanda, so it's obviously working. Well, first and foremost, that was someone who did it voluntarily. That's the first thing I want to make clear on that one. Secondly, that person was offered £3,000 of taxpayer money. That's your taxpayer money. You paid for that, yeah, as well. So £3,000 of that, as well as we're going to be paying for accommodation for like 5 years or something while they're over there as well. So yeah, you taxpayer, you're going to be paying for that man to be there in Rwanda. You're going to be paying out of your pocket for him to be there. Yeah, you happy with that? Are you happy that your taxpayer money is going towards that? Because that's what it is, yeah, because when it could have been that the case of we could have sent that person back to the country they came from, maybe. I don't know the full story. He might have been able to. We might not. We don't know the identity of that person who got sent on the flight. And that person was offered incentive a lot of money to go as well. So, yeah, it's not worth the money, guys. It's not worth the taxpayer money. Yeah, the taxpayer money going towards clearing the backlogs, yeah. If we cleared the backlogs instead of wasting our time with this Rwanda plan, there'd be less migration. There'd be less people in hotels, less in barges, if we actually did it that way. Just saying. It's pretty obvious, but, you know, some people still think, you know, and I asked a question before about those who still believe in the Rwanda plan, and nobody seems to have answered. It's almost as if no one really believes in this policy. The Union for Senior Civil Servants has launched a legal challenge against Rishi Sunak's Rwanda plan over moves to force officials to break international law to carry out deportations. This is the problem. Yeah, you're asking them to break international law. So you, who's saying that these civil servants should break international law, so are you going to break international law? Are you going to break the law in this country? If your employer tells you to break the law, are you going to break the law without question? Yeah, if you got told to rob a bank, yeah, would you rob a bank knowing that you could find yourself in prison for doing that? Or if you were told to do something that was against the law, would you do that without any questions or clarity whatsoever? No, of course you wouldn't. This is the exact same thing with these civil servants. The FDA warned that the government has created a conflict of interest for civil servants as they could be ordered by ministers to ignore the European Court of Human Rights, the ECtHR, injunctions to carry out deportations, but have a duty under the Civil Service Code to abide by the law. If the union is successful with its legal challenge, it could likely see the government ordered to remove the conflict by holding a parliamentary vote, either specify in law that the UK will ignore the injunctions rather than simply give ministers the power to do so, or to amend the Civil Service Code to remove officials' obligations to comply with the law. Such votes are expected to be tricky for Rishi Sunak, with moderate Conservatives understood to be wary of breaking the law to enact the plan, and could therefore delay the beleaguered policy even further than the 2 years it has always been held up by the legal wrangling. Writing for the FDA General Secretary Dave Penman said that the legal conflict was a result of the government's fudging to the Safety of Rwanda Act to balance incomplete factions in the Tory Party, some gung-ho on ignoring international law, and some believing those commitments are sacrosanct. What the hell does that mean? This means it's left to ministers to decide whether to ignore the ECtHR rather than Parliament, placing civil servants or the individuous person of facing a legal conflict between the instructions of ministers and their obligations under the Civil Service Code. This vague constitutional hinterland is the last thing civil servants want. On a controversial policy like Rwanda, there is already siren voices accusing civil servants of trying to undermine the settled will of the government. That's why it was vital that the government provide clarity. This is the thing. Civil servants have no... Listen, the civil servants, if they are told to introduce a policy, they will introduce a policy. They will do what the government tells introduce it to. But not if it means them breaking that law and then finding themselves in prison. This is the context of the issue here, which many people in the comment section clearly don't understand. But instead, their way out of political bind was to recklessly dump it in the lap of civil servants. Mr. Penman said the union was not taking the legal action lightly, but urged the government to provide clear blue water on controversial issues like this to avoid such conflicts. He added civil servants should know when they sign up that they have a duty to serve the government of the day. If you work in the Home Office, you know what, regardless of the political persuasions of the government, you're likely to be asked to implement some controversial policies. Yeah, they know what they're signing up to. Yeah, this is exactly what they should be doing, but not when it means they're asking them to break international laws, which is what they're being asked to do. But in doing so as an absolute minimum, you must have confidence that you're not being asked to break the Civil Service Code. The dispute has arisen because the Prime Minister's Safety of Rwanda Act passed into law last week gives ministers the power to ignore so-called Rule 39 interim injunctions from the ECtHR and of that kind, and grounded the first attempt at a deportation flight in June 2022. On Monday, officials were told not to obstruct the minister's decision to ignore the Strasbourg court. In a letter from Darren Toney, the Director General of Propriety and Ethics in the Cabinet Office, to Home Office Permanent Secretary Sir Matthew Rothcliffe. But the FDA said that neither ministers nor guidance can overrule the obligation under the Civil Service Code to comply with the law, and the only act of Parliament can remove the conflict of interest. The I understands the Home Office continues to work towards the first deportation flight in 9 to 11 weeks set out by the Prime Minister last week. Source close to the Home Secretary James Cleverly said, "We are focused on the operational the Rwanda scheme. We're fully focused on delivering the Faragua plans, yada, yada, yada." We've heard all this before. The Home Office has been asked for a response on this. But the specifics here is about, and we've talked about this before, about the legality of the civil servants who could be in trouble here. You know, they have a duty to follow whatever the government tells them to. However, you're asking them to put themselves in breaking the law. This is the crux of the issue when it comes to civil servants here, and their assurances need to be given. And by the way, the idiot in one of my last comments who said about sacking all the civil servants, you sack all the civil servants, nothing will get done. Nothing in the Home Office will get done at all. You need civil servants. It's the way our system works. That's how it's always been. You can't just sack all the civil servants and expect no flights will take off, no deportations will be done. The migration will get even more out of control because there will be no one to process all these backlogs of claims. So that shows your incompetence, whoever said that as well. So we need civil servants. What we need is more civil servants, and what we need is complete and total clarity that civil servants are not going to be breaching the law if they follow this, and that their rights are going to be protected if they're going to do so. Which is exactly why the unions have head of the union has stepped in here to protect them, because they have a role and responsibility, and it's not their job, civil servants, to they don't complain about the policies. You don't hear them saying these policies are. You don't hear these policies standing up and saying, "No, I'm not going to implement these policies." Of all the policies beforehand that have come before, guys, no matter how inhumane or how disgusting they are, none of them involved breaking the law, breaking the ECtHR, or breaking international courts in any way, shape, or form. This one does. All the ones we've had before under the Conservatives, the civil servants carry them out because it is their duty to do so. But this is different. We're talking about asking them to break the law. So if you think it's okay for them to break the law, are you okay breaking the law too and going to jail for it? Answers in the comment section down below. If you found this video informative, please hit the like button. We greatly appreciate it. Share it across social media so others are notified of this video. And subscribe, because it really does help support the channel. And if you want to go one step further, financially support me in the work that I do here, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p. Or join me on Rumble or Patreon for exclusive content there as well. So thank you all so much for watching. I hope to catch you all very, very soon.